A new update is now live on Bullroarer. Update 31.1. The first beta is now live. And in this video, we're going to be looking mainly at the Brawler changes and the changes to the Brawler as a tank. And at the screen right now, we're looking at my Brawler on the live version. And in the beta notes, they mentioned three main problems with the Brawler tank. The first one was they had too many reduce incoming damage buffs that could be stacked. They have Weather Blows, they have Iron Will, a bunch of reduce incoming damage, Joy of Battle. So that was one of the problems they wanted to address. The other one was AoE aggro. And that's mainly, I think they're referring to the AoE taunt, Come At Me. This is Come At Me max out, even with, I believe I have the AoE target count, I do. So your AoE taunt on Brawler is max 9 targets, which is, it's quite low for someone who's intended to be able to tank a lot of mobs. The Brawler does have some AoE attacks that deal some damage, but still, they don't have the best AoE. So the AoE aggro was the second point, and the third point was they're saying that Brawler lacks a defined role as a tank, which I kind of disagreed with, but at the same time, they were just like a really durable tank, and that's kind of boring to just have a tank that takes a lot of damage. So I'm quite happy with the new changes. And with that introduction out of the way, let's take a look at all the changes to the Brawler. So like I said, they did mention that Brawler lacks a defined role, and the role they've chosen to go with is more of a offensive support tank, which means you'll still be able to take a lot of damage, but at the same time you're going to be supporting your group a lot, or your raid a lot, with some really nice buffs. Weather Blows on the live servers is basically a incoming damage reduction. The more metal you had, the more you could reduce the damage. And it also had a 35% morale heal attached to it. So it's basically a catch a breath with a reduced incoming damage attached to it, a really strong cooldown. This cooldown has been changed on beta. It is now rather a set incoming damage buff. Basically, this means if I would use it right now, every damage I take would deal 29% damage to me. If I get hit for 1 million, I would get hit for 290k. And if you max out your metal and then use it, it's going to be 20%. 20% is going to be the max with traits and traceries and full maxed out metal. So basically, Weather Blows is a really strong cooldown. You only take 20% of all incoming damage if you use it at max metal. And the cooldown is 1 minute 15 seconds. So basically, every time you use this, you'll have it back after a minute. Pretty strong cooldown. Another skill that got a big change is the skill Gut Punch that you get in the bottom of blue line. On live, every time you use a Gut Punch on a target, that character will deal 5% less damage, which is only 5% mastery, so it wasn't good at all, really. So you would just hit your target with Gut Punch, and they deal 5% less damage. Quite underwhelming for being at the bottom of the trait line. But if we take a look at Gut Punch on beta right now, it now puts a plus 20% target incoming damage for 20 seconds, which is really, really huge. That's a really strong ability for a tank to buff your group's DPS. Keep in mind that every time this wears off, there's a 70-second immunity, so you can't spam it on the same target over and over. But if there's more targets than just one, it's pretty nice to put it on different targets But if you were to use it on the same target, they would get the incoming damage debuff on them. But as soon as this wears off, they are now immune for 70 seconds before you can use Gut Punch again. If I were to use it again, the skill would go off, but the buff would not be present. But on the other hand, if there's something else you want to kill, you just use Gut Punch on that target, and when the immunity is off, say on the main boss, this might be the main boss, you would then use Gut Punch again. I imagine this will be quite strong if combined correctly with stuff like Oathies and Ancient Craft. But anyways, a really strong buff to the Brawler tank. Iron Will is another skill that got a change on live right now. It has basically the same effect as Weather Blows. It has a pretty cool animation. You get this blue bubble around yourself, and you basically take minus whatever incoming damage that you have when you use full metal. This skill has been completely changed, and now it's called the Best Defense, 2-minute cooldown, and a 15-meter radius buff, 30% damage for 20 seconds to every ally that you hit. You can find an innocent person to use this on. It has the same animation, 30% damage for 20 seconds, and every ally in your raid that's within the radius of 15 meters would get this damage buff. Pretty strong, and I can see this being paired with Gut Punch as well, for some nice burst action. There's also been some massive changes to the taunts of the Brawler. Right now, they have their single target taunt, Brash Invitation, 25-meter range, puts the bubble on you. The force attack is only 5 seconds, and the cooldown is 10 seconds. So to keep aggro of one target, you would have to chain both your taunts. Come at me, your AoE taunt is max 9 targets, even with the tracery that I have, and the radius is only 12 meters around you. And just like your single target taunt, the duration is only 5 seconds with a 29-second cooldown. But on beta, we have some really good changes. Single target taunt, Brash Invitation, has now a 40-meter range. You don't have to run super close to taunt a boss that's far away. It's still only 5 seconds, so keep that in mind. I wish they would change that to 10 seconds. Would make a lot more sense. But another really good change. Come at me, your AoE taunt gets 5 more targets and can now be up to 14 targets, still 12-meter radius. But that's quite huge. Something Brawler really needed, 14 targets. And your AoE taunt is also a 10-second forced attack, which is really huge. So all in all, excellent changes for the Brawler, something that was really needed. Every tank should have reliable taunts. Although I wish they would add the 5-second, change that to 10-second taunt for the single target taunt. Most people probably know about the vulnerable effect that Brawler can proc on a target. Basically, if you use low strike and then use a finisher, you can proc a debuff on the target. It's called vulnerable. On live, this is 1% base damage. But if we take a look at beta, this has changed. There's my proc. The icon has changed too. Pretty nice. It's still just like the Captain's Noble Mark, but at least it's recognizable now. But the base value is now 3%. It's also another nice thing if your Brawler tank is able to keep that up. Another nice buff for the Brawler tank. And just a quick note on the buffs that the Brawler give. I know they get more buffs in Redline, but buffs such as Strike is 1, the radius is going to be increased. Right now in live, it's 10-meter radius. And it's only Fellowship wide. But on beta, It is now 15-meter radius, and it says in the notes that most of these skills, such as this one, are now raid-wide. This means the Brawler can be in the tank group and buff their DPS, which is really big and a really needed change. But just another really strong buff, another really good reason to bring a Brawler tank. They also mentioned that there was a change to the animations of innate strength. I'm kind of wondering if they mean the share innate strength, so I'm going to try that out. Alright, this is the share innate strength on live. And this is on beta. I would say that felt faster, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Another change to the Brawler tank. The heal from weather blows. On live it heals 35% max morale. And on beta that heal is gone. But this heal has been moved to the skill Bracing Guard. So Bracing Guard is a skill you would use for incoming attacks to tier up an incoming healing buff on you. But it now also has the 35% maximum morale heal. So I'm pretty sure Brawlers will just start using this as a heal if they feel like they need it. In Blue Line, Blue Brawler has a set bonus trait called Bellicose. I don't know how to pronounce this, but I'm just going to call it Bellicose. And this basically means every time you use a taunt, you generate 3 metal. And this is true for Brash Invitation, but on live, come at me if you just use it and you don't hit anything, like right now. You won't generate any metal. But on beta, if I use come at me, you can see that I get my free metal even though I didn't hit anything. So that has been fixed. The skill Follow Me on live right now applies a buff to your fellowship within 10 meters, minus 20% attack duration. This skill has been completely changed. This skill now applies to your fellowship within 15 meters, a 20% run speed buff for 15 seconds. And if what they said is true, this is probably raid-wide as well. Make sure you're close to your allies when using this. And the final note I have on the Brawler is Fist of the Valor, I believe, has been fixed. You also apply the bonus damage from metal, and also the base damage has been increased. These are with the exact same stats. This is the live tooltip right now. And if we go to beta, the damage is clearly almost doubled, almost 100,000. While on live, it's almost 60,000. So quite a solid buff to Fist of the Valor. It's possible they just increase the damage instead of trying to fix the metal thing. But I'm pretty sure Fist of the Valor is going to be worth using again. In any case, that was a look at the big, quite massive Brawler changes. I feel like Blue Brawler is definitely going to be a really wanted tank now. And if you play your Brawler well, you're going to be able to do a lot for your raid. That is the end of my Brawler video. I will also be covering some of the PvMP changes in a future video, as well as some other minor stuff. But as always, leave a like, subscribe to my channel, join my Discord server, link is down below, and I will see you in the next one. If you like Lord of the Rings Online, there's one place you need to be. In every video that I post, you can go down to the description and join my Discord server. This will take you to the Ghynverse, a Discord server specifically made for Lord of the Rings Online. Here you will have monthly giveaways where people can enter and win Lotro point codes. You'll also see whenever I post a new video, as well as stream. There are discussion channels for every class, for PvP, whatever you want from Lotro. And there's also a best in slot section, where you can find screenshots of everything you need in the game, every new gear that comes out, everything you need. Pretty much all the best items you can find here. And all the way at the bottom is my video archive. You can find all my old videos. But if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings Online, if you're a new player, if you're an experienced player, this is a good place to discuss and learn about the game.